Hello everyone, welcome to episode 45 of FPL BlackBox. I have got a big smile on my face and it's not just because of a green arrow this week. There are multiple reasons why I'm smiling, and if you stick through this and the Q&A, you will find out why. How are you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this, really. No, I am. I'm looking forward to chatting to you about FPL, of course, I always am. We're up against the might of Champions League football and Green Arrow tonight, so I'm not expecting too many live chatters, but it's welcome to anyone in the live chat. Thank you for sticking with us. Obviously, there's Champions League football going on while we're doing this show, and we'll catch up with that later. And it will have repercussions, I think, on some of my decisions tonight's games. But tonight, we're going to talk about various things. We're not going to dwell on the predictions or anything like that. We're going to spend most of the time...
No, we're doing 90 minutes on the predictions, I think.
No, we're not doing that. For reasons that we will reveal ourselves later. We're going to talk about... there's that Ronaldo chap, isn't there?
Yeah, you're not a huge fan, are you?
The jury's out, it's fair to say.
Oh, the jury's out, is it? Yeah.
The jury is out. I'm being billed as some kind of anti-Ronaldo figure on Twitter. And I am kind of trying to represent the opposing view to, we must get him at all costs. He's going to score 30 goals immediately. No, so I don't agree with that. And I'll give you my opinions on what I thought of his debut and what I think so far. Yeah. We're going to look at, can we get Ronaldo and Lukaku and Salah and Trent in one team? As can we really?
Well, we can, with massive sacrifices that have to be made. Yeah, I'm going to present a team that I put together. I'm going to try and defend it, but we all know that when you try and build a team with all these heavy hitters, you have to make sacrifices elsewhere. And I'm not totally convinced on it, but it is an option.
It is an option, of course, yes. And we'll look at a team you put together, and we'll look at why I'm aiming for something different. And there's lots of views on this. And it's just fascinating, isn't it, that we've got these two players have arrived in our game, the brand new Heavies, as I called them in the name of the show, who have completely changed our outlook. And our
we needed
approach
it, didn't we?
Yeah, we really did. We really did. And it's already led to more variance in the scores, as we'll see when we look at the various leagues. But what hasn't led to much variance in our scores, because we both got 76, didn't we? Both got 76.
Yeah. I overtook you briefly again.
For 2 hours, was it?
Yeah, until Lukaku scored 2 goals and matched Ronaldo. I was ahead of you briefly. So it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, I still kept my record of not being... you haven't even been level with me so far since we started this show, have we? So...
For all of my smugness, there is that horrible record that I really need to address at some point. Hopefully it'll be this week, but looking at my team, I doubt it, to be honest.
Well, you're on a winning streak, though, as we'll see across the show. Okay, so we're going to talk about Antonio as well, Calvert-Lewin, Bamford. Oh, my hamstrings pinging, that kind of thing. What else are we going to talk about? Oh, yeah, we got some data on the season so far. And what we've tried to do is we've had an eye on whether the home advantage is back with us. It's something we talked about pre-season, that we expected home advantage to be more of a thing this year. And 4 games in, very early, of course, small sample, we're going to look at how that's faring to last season and previous seasons. Some fascinating data as you come to expect from FPL BlackBox. Let's look at your score for the week. Look at that new shiny new screens. Look at that team shot. Look.
Have you had like 10 coffees tonight, Mark? Because I've never seen you so animated. It's great.
But look at that. Last week. Do you like that? Do you like my handiwork?
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah, really
drop
nice.
Shadows and everything. Look.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah. So this is your team, 76 points. Talk us through it. Name the team for the podcast listeners first of all.
So we've got Sanchez in goal with 6, Trent with 12, Veltman with 6, and Soufal with 6. Look at that. Clean sweep for the second time this season of defenders, and both times have involved a Brighton double up as well. So, the old Sanchez-Veltman double up is doing well. Salah with 8, Greenwood with 5, Grealish and Benrahma both with 3, and then Tony with 2, Antonio with -1, and then the big man, of course, captain Ronaldo with 26. So I took a hit for that. I bought in Greenwood and Ronaldo. I was freaking out right until kind of the deadline, to be honest, about what I was going to do. I was debating the -8 to bring in Jota and lose Simicas. And in the end, I just went with Greenwood and Ronaldo. And it's actually, obviously it's short term, but it paid off the best out of all the things I was considering straight away. And I thought Greenwood was good again. I think, I'm not worried about him losing his place. He had the rest as well in the Champions League, which was nice. And I'm pretty happy with this team at the moment, I think, until Antonio got injured, and then I'm playing Billy Gilmore, as we're going to touch on later.
Are you? Is it going to come to that?
I think it probably is, yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, we got away with the Jota thing, I think. It's something I'm going to talk about later. Jota's definitely on my radar because we've learned that Firmino could be out longer. We've got to wait for more from Klopp on that, but it looks like he's going to miss Palace and probably Brentford too. And I did fear Jota going into that Leeds game.
Too.
And they were, let's put it this way, Liverpool were lively, weren't they? They really should have got more goals and more points across that front three.
Well, Mane bailed us out of Jota not getting at least a couple of assists.
Yeah.
So yeah, thanks for that. It was scary watching it. I mean, he's like we've talked about on this show before. He's just top of all the metrics pretty much of shots and everything. He's cheap as well, like at 7.6 or whatever he is. So I think he's an absolutely fantastic option. I think people who wildcarded and got him in can feel a bit aggrieved that they didn't get any points from him. But if you've got him, you stay with him. He's a great option going forward, I think.
770 is, I should know because I'm keeping a keen eye on him. We're going to talk about Mr. Ronaldo and probably Greenwood a bit later. Trent again, low. Ridiculous, I mean, 8.5 points per game, is it now?
Yeah, it's a shame that, the injury to Harvey Elliott, has kind of been unlocking him a bit, hasn't it? And I don't think Trent's going to completely, go off the radar with Elliott out, but that kind of sort of partnership, I don't know what you call it, but they were working well together, weren't they? Sort of Elliott dropping back and Trent bombing forward. So it's a shame, isn't it? These young players, they break into the side and you see it quite often. They suffer some injury like this and now he's going to have to work and get his place back, and it's just come at the worst possible time. So it's devastating. But yeah, Trent is just, I mean, for all the talk about all the premiums we need and Salah, Ronaldo, Lukaku, lots of people dropping Trent thinking he's not intentional. I just think him and Salah they can go nowhere. They're the ones.
Yeah.
If you had to pick two, you just have to stick with them.
I've got to agree with you. And we showed it in last week's show about his potential new positioning, more infield, further forward. And Elliott played a part in that. And we've got to see now whether not having him there is going to make a difference. Because he definitely was covering him and he's obviously got legs to track back and it really helped. So, as Trent owners, we'd like to see that continue, but we'll have to wait and see. But if it does continue, it's kind of like, I thought we'd seen fullbacks evolve fully. I thought we'd seen the end of it. And then I guess Cancelo at City has taken it further and Trent is playing in that kind of position again. And I do think we're seeing fullbacks evolve a little bit further this season, as in their contribution to the attack is getting even greater, it seems, in teams like Chelsea, City and Liverpool. And Trent is the epitome of that, I think.
Yeah, it's coming into the middle, isn't it, more, and sort of being able to dictate play a bit more. I mean, we've seen a bit from like Reece James, for example, we see Cancelo, Trent. I don't know if Pep sort of started it originally, but that's always been sort of one of the key tactics that he's used is having that kind of extra midfielder coming in from the fullback position, and they do it great. And Trent's the best to do it. I mean, the quality of his pass and his vision is just unparalleled. He's just such a great player to watch. Yeah. And Liverpool were just back, like Liverpool playing well, swashbuckling football. Van Dijk coming back. Just cannot be underestimated. He gives confidence to everyone in the side. Midfield, the fullbacks to push on. Like everyone's just happier and playing good football again, and good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. 76 for me also. My team, Sanchez, Trent, Veltman, Shaw. That's 12, 6 and 5. So again, returns at the back.
Yep.
And Mbumo, 1 point. He was unlucky, though. Mbumo, I mean, how many chances did he have again at home? Absolutely. Just not... Didn't get to run the ball for the one in the second half. Should have done better with one in the first half. And then Brighton ran out winners.
But you've got your double Brighton defence. So if he'd scored, you would have.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess that was the play, wasn't it? Salah on 8, Fernandes on 8. I kept Bruno, of course. Sarr only returned 2 points. Disappointed with him. I didn't think he showed up too much against Wolves. He had that one cross he set up for King, which something could have come of that, but wasn't to be. Ben Rama with the 3, very disappointing, went off after the hour mark, and we're going to look at West Ham and the European fixtures and see how that's going to influence things and our thinking there. Antonio with a -1. And then Lukaku, not Ronaldo, of course, but 26 points as well.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you the scenes in this shed when Lukaku got that second goal in stoppage time. There was some leaping about, swearing and raised voices at that point.
Imagine the exact opposite of that, and that's how I reacted when I saw him score that second goal.
Well, you sent me a message on WhatsApp when Ronaldo scored. So as soon as the Lukaku first goal went in, I went, "How'd you like those apples then, eh?" And then obviously with the second one, I was too busy celebrating to text.
But I wasn't dissing Lukaku for an entire episode.
No, but you were gloating. You were gloating that you had Ronaldo and he'd scored, and I thought I'd return the favour when Lukaku banged in the first one. I was hoping floodgates will open. 15 minutes, one goal. I was going, he's going to get a hat trick here. But Chelsea didn't get him the ball, did they? It was so frustrating.
Fewest touches on the pitch. Well, fewest touches for the pitch or fewest touches for Chelsea anyway. He was, but I mean, the goals he scored were very different to the goals that Ronaldo scored, which were definitely helped somewhat by the goalkeeper of Newcastle. Whereas Lukaku's...
you're going to admit that. Glad you're admitting that, yes.
Lukaku's were just stunning goals, weren't they? I mean... You just watch them and just like, yeah, okay, fair enough. He's quite good.
I think when it comes to the fear factor from the eye test, Lukaku is topping Ronaldo at the moment. Like, everything he seems to do seems to be impressive. Not that Ronaldo's not doing that, but Lukaku is kind of like making a statement with some of his goals at the moment. I mean, even the one last night, you see the one in the Champions League? It was such a deft header. Like, he got up, but just the way he guided it into he's matured as a goal scorer so much since we saw him at Everton United, and that's what's, I guess he's more recently been in the Premier League than Ronaldo.
He's at his peak, isn't he? He's 8 years younger than Ronaldo. He's ridiculously strong, ridiculously fast. He's got everything going for him. But
it's just interesting to see in that period with Milan how he's grown as a goal scorer in terms of taking opportunities. I don't think he was really wasteful at Everton United. Maybe he was. Maybe at United he was very frustrating, I think, in terms of getting into positions. But so far for Chelsea, he's been absolutely ruthless, as has Ronaldo for United.
On your team, you've it's interesting because you've basically got three. Well, you've got three premiums and Trent. So the team I'm going to present is kind of just a variation of yours.
Yeah.
My problem with it was the kind of midfielders I've got. Are you not a bit worried about having Mbomo, Sarr, and Benrahma? They all seem like they've had their day. Mbomo's never had his day, but he's never going to have it.
That is why, Bruno's got to go, I think, because I don't think you can take this forward, and that's going to be my case when I show where I want to get to with the team. I think that's the big thing about having three of those big hitters in there. You are lessening your ability to make impact with your transfers because the players you're taking out are like 6 million midfielders at best, or 5.5. So, while there are good options like Gallagher, Decore and stuff, how long is that going to last? And, being able to react to a 7.5 million midfielder who's in form, I think is where I want to be. And I can't do that with this team, not without taking Bruno out. So that kind of pushes me towards it. But more on that later on. Great in the good league. Let's have a look how we're doing. We pushed up the table a bit. A lot of green arrows about, only 4 reds. So a good week all round for the great in the good league generally. Magnus top scored with 79 with his wild card. Did you see? Very nice.
Bamiyang, yeah.
Yes. Very good indeed. Yeah. Let's see what he does with that. I think I know what he's going to do with that. He captained Lukaku. He's going to double on Ronaldo and Lukaku, of course, by the looks of it. So yeah, up to second for Magnus behind Tom Stevenson, who's still out on top. He's ranked 20,661 in the world. We both got green arrows. I'm up to 231k. You're up to 319k. We got to be pleased with that, haven't we? This time last year and all that.
Yeah, I know. Look at Fabio struggling. See you later, Fabio. I've, miles ahead of you at the moment. I'm going to regret saying that.
Yeah, I don't like all this gloating against the greatest all-time FPL manager, but, if you want to go for that's your style.
This is the only opportunity I'll have before he inevitably catches me up. Les Caldwell was a sad story. Did you see? I think he's the one that won the qualifiers last year. Yeah, he forgot to take the captaincy off Antonio. And
Forgot?
Yeah.
What, missed the deadline?
He missed the deadline. Yeah,
right.
That's from what I understand from Greyhead's article.
Right.
And and do you know what? Antonio wasn't even that bad a pick.
No, we said, didn't we? Yeah.
And then for him to get sent off is... Yeah, and then you look at all the other players, everyone captained this league and everyone scored, and then he captained. That's it. Ouch.
Yeah, Fabio is having a bad season, but so far,
I can laugh at Fabio, though, because there is absolutely no way that Fabio will finish around there. He will obviously finish in the top 10,000 again and trounce me. So,
yeah.
Look, this show, if you don't like me being smug, tune out now.
This is not the show for you.
This is not the show.
Normally the smugness is coming from this direction, but tonight I don't think I can compete.
Someone said in the chat, they said, "Oh, as smug doesn't suit you." So for God's sake, let me have one episode.
Let him have it. Yeah, that's right. Just let him have this one episode. I think you're absolutely right. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything interesting transfer wise. I've made 3. You've made 4. Joe's right up there. He made just 2 transfers so far. He's 83k in the world. Started really well. It's pretty close though, isn't it, across the league? I mean, like we're 30 points off the top, if you like, which isn't a lot at this stage. But the template is breaking up. We're seeing different captains now every week, as well as different teams, and that is what Ronaldo and Lukaku has brought us. And quite frankly, more power to it. Okay, let's look at this season data then, because we said at the start of the season about home advantage, we expected it to come back with the crowds back in the stadiums. So I thought I'd have a quick look at the data after 4 games. So caveat here, this is after 40 matches, right, which is a ridiculously small sample. But even so, I thought I'd have a look and see if anything interesting was there. And lo and behold, there was some interesting data there. The key stat for me is the goals per game, which in last season, goals per game at home, 1.35. So far this season, goals per game at home, 1.68. And why that is significant is 1.68 is the highest goals per game total at home, in home matches, in the history of the Premier League. It's only ever been 1.67 in 2009, I believe. So far this season, goals at home have been more prevalent than ever. What do you make of that, Mr. Az?
Wow, lovely stat. Yeah, we said that would happen, didn't we? We thought, we might see it kind of go there, but at least quite early on until things sort of get back to being normal. But often things don't go the way you think, and this kind of has. It's weird though, because if I hadn't seen that stat, I wouldn't be thinking it. Like I haven't suddenly thought, oh, the home teams are scoring loads of goals and winning loads of matches. But it's interesting. This is happening kind of under the surface, and it takes something like this to make you kind of realise. Yeah, I mean, what does that do for you? Do you think that makes you want to captain players more at home, or get in players with favourable home fixtures a bit more than normal?
It's a small sample, and it's fair to say the difference between seasons normally is quite small, like 0.5 or 0.1 at the most. But the difference from last season is significant. It's 0.33, so it's definitely up by quite a considerable margin on last season's goals in home matches. So that's enough for us to go, okay, home advantage is definitely back, particularly when you look at clean sheets per game is up in home matches as well. It was 0.3 per game for home teams last season. It's 0.38 now this season. So home teams are scoring more goals and getting more clean sheets. Now, again, it could be just down to the way the fixtures have fallen in the first 4 games. We're going to track this data, but so far it's looking to be the case. Shots per game is up for home teams as well. It's 14.08 this season. It was 12.81 last season, so that teams seem to be attacking more at home. And the wins per game is where you would expect it, right? It's for home teams, it's 0.48, away teams 0.30, whereas last season it was 0.38 for home teams and 0.4 for away teams. So there was more away wins than home wins last season. It's gone completely back the other way and some, hasn't it, so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, goals per game for the away sides. Sorry. Excuse me. Is that, I mean, the wins and the goals per game for the away sides is huge in this. 0.30 for wins compared to 0.4, and 1.03 for goals compared to 1.34. So, yeah, I mean, but like, there's just, you can just tell, can't you, when you watch a game, there's a buzz, there's an atmosphere. Like, I mean, I'm enjoying watching football so much more this year than I was last year. It never got less weird, and I can't imagine what it was like for the players actually playing in it. Whereas now, with the fans back in the stadium, there's just so much more to enjoy and take from. And I'm kind of glad, in a way, that it's worked out like this, because if the home fans did have no effect on goals and points, you'd be like, well, why do we even bother having fans in the stadium?
Yeah, and I think we've got to track this data. We'll do it again after like 8 weeks, 12 weeks and so on. But I think at the moment I take from this cautiously that yes, I mean, I think we're going to favour home matches anyway because it makes the fixture stronger, right? But I think we can be more secure doing that based on what we're seeing here. So when we look at Salah at home to Palace rather than Ronaldo at West Ham for captaincy, the fact that Salah's at home should be a factor. Whereas last season, Liverpool at home were dreadful, weren't they? So I think we can feel more confident about the big hitters and the stronger teams in home matches, and I guess also back some of the weaker teams in home matches.
And Everton, right? I mean, Everton had one of the poorest home records around, and they've won their 2 home games 3-1. Is it? So scored 6 goals in 2 games at home, which they definitely weren't doing last season.
Yeah.
So,
and the crowd the other night, the crowd at Goodison the other night was definitely a factor in that. There's no doubt about that. So interesting. We'll track it. I think take from this what you will, but clearly there is an increase in goals for the home teams, which is really interesting. Let's look at some more data. Team data. We always look at this every week. This is team data defence. What we're looking at is a table here sorted by minutes per XG conceded.
Wow.
Non-penalty. And yes, the wow is for the team at the top. It's Wolves at the top. Their defence is the strongest based on minutes per XG conceded non-penalty.
There's loads of wows about this. I mean, not so much at the bottom, which is very predictable, but at the top, I mean, Man City I thought would be at the top, given that they've conceded so few goals. Chelsea being that far down is surprising. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 8th. And then you look at the top kind of 5. I mean, Wolves, City, Brentford, Brighton, Palace. What is going on? That is not. No, they are not teams I thought would be featuring this high. I mean, it's Wolves though. I have to say, I got it wrong about them because I did not see this happening after 4 games. I thought they were going to be gung ho, attacking, ship goals, and they've been so solid and not at any cost of their attacking sort of potential. I know they haven't scored too many goals, but the stats are there for so many players: Semedo, Jimenez, Traore, Trincao. I think they're gonna hit a big score soon. They're gonna beat someone, really, really comfortably, and they've got the fixtures to do it as well. They're a good team to invest in.
Yeah, and also what's interesting, Wolves' ticker rank for these first 4 fixtures was 13th, so it wasn't. It was below mid. So they had tough fixtures to begin with. City was 12th, and they're the first 2 defences. I mean, Brentford, I guess it's a surprise seeing them there, but their fixtures were 7th on the ticker, so they did have a good start according to the fixture ticker start season. Brighton had the best start, so Brighton have got a good defence and they had great fixtures, so it's perhaps no surprise to see them.
We got a winner in the 90th minute mark. When has that ever happened?
Who could have predicted that, eh? Who could have predicted that? Palace is a surprise though. 18th on the ticker going into these first 4 games, and like Wolves, they've been outstanding under the new manager, haven't they?
Oh, I have to say again, got it wrong about. We complimented my predictions, but I got it wrong about Palace as well. I thought they'd take a long time to bed in under Vieira. I thought the fixture run they had, I thought they could be bottom of the league. They've been absolutely superb. I have to say, Gallagher is just absolutely an excellent player. Zaha is doing Zaha things, annoying players, getting them sent off, riling them up like he's so good at. Edouard's already come in and looks like a good signing. They've got Olise to come in. Anderson looks great at the back. There's a lot to be excited for, I think, as a Palace fan. I didn't think, again, I'd be saying at this stage. So massive credit to the recruitment that they've done and Vieira as well for getting the most out of them.
And just going back...
Good side. The fixtures are awful for Palace.
Yeah, the fixtures are bad now. But they've got to be a team that Gallagher you could probably go to anyway because he's cheap. But you're not going to look elsewhere, I don't think.
I'd say he is a good player, that guy. Really good. I think we knew it when he hit kind of the outside of the bar a few weeks ago. We were like, oh, something a bit about him. And yeah, since then, if you saw that and invested in him, well done, because he's been great. Well,
the issue with Gallagher was he didn't impress at West Brom, but that had perhaps something to do with the management, but tactics. But going back to Man City, they are second, and the key thing here is they've only conceded, and I find this ridiculous, 3 shots on target in 4 games.
Yeah.
Now they obviously were high XG, which is why they're not top, but 3 shots on target is crazy, isn't it?
It's nuts.
It's
absolutely nuts. Yeah.
So their defence is certainly investable still, and obviously their fixtures are going to get better than they have been over the first 4 too. So we've got to consider them. Chelsea have had a tough start fixture wise, but I expect them to start climbing very soon. So it's interesting to see if Wolves can settle in alongside Brighton as like a team with an unexpectedly strong defence. But we've got to consider Semedo, etc. now, haven't we? And Marcel, he picked up the 2 assists. How are you considering the Wolves' defence now going forward, given that their fixtures are very strong from this point on, aren't they?
Yeah, I think I'm going to get one this week, actually. Especially when you see a chart like this, you think this is I need to get rid of Simicast at some point. So who am I looking at? I mean, we've got a 4.5 option, and a little bit more gets you Semedo, who's posting better underlying stats, but is a bit of a waste of space. So it's kind of hard to know if he's worth the extra point.
See, the thing is, you've owned Semedo before. And it's buyer's regret, isn't it? Again, you can't overlook your previous experience.
But I've also watched him play football, and he's all fart no poo, without a doubt. That is Semedo in a nutshell. I just doubt his quality in that final third to really make things happen.
He had 2 big chances against Watford.
Yeah, but how many goals has he got? How many assists has he got? This is what happened to him last season. Last season he was posting good stats, good numbers, playing at wing back. He's no Matt Doherty, is he?
No, the end product, absolutely no end product. But I do think that I'd rather own him over Marcel. I think I'd rather pay the 0-4. And he's one of the players who's on my radar. There's a possible move of a -4 this week that I'm looking at that involves Semedo. Let's look at their fixtures, actually. Let's quickly just dart over to the ticker and just appreciate why Wolves are being discussed as they are. Gameweek 5 Brentford at home, Gameweek 6 Southampton away, 7 Newcastle at home, 8 Villa away, 9 Leeds away, and then it toughens a bit with the Everton at home fixture. That's a good run of 5 though, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah, I love it. I think you can happily play Semedo or Marcel or whoever in all of those games, and with the stats they've got, be sort of fairly confident you're going to get a couple of clean sheets. I think. Yeah. I mean, Brentford, Southampton, and Newcastle.
Yeah, they're the 3.
There's two clean sheets in that, I think.
Yeah, and what is interesting, there was a lot of kind of calmness about Wolves, like calm down, let's see them play a team where they're expected to beat before we look at their attack, and that did materialise a little bit. I do think Wolves as an attacking unit were different against Watford. They didn't create quite as much. Traore wasn't as big a factor because they didn't play on the counter, did they?
He's gone massively off the boil the last 2 games. He's not even getting. I mean, you feel like he needs like 10 chances to score a goal. And he was getting 10 chances a game. But then last week and this week as well, he hasn't really been featuring so much. So it's interesting. I mean, Semedo's heat map. I mean, this is the thing. Like I talk about the kind of the stats I like. Shots on target, touches in the box, chances created, and I look at the heat map as well. They're the 4 things I tend to use on Scout. Semedo hits every one of those. There's no defender that really comes close to him at the moment in terms of.
So why aren't you going to go? Why aren't you going in?
Well, I think I am.
Right.
I think I am, but I don't feel that confident about it. I should feel a lot more confident about it given what he's doing, like on the pitch. But I just don't. But a part of it comes from the other players not. We need Jimenez to get a goal, get his confidence back, start scoring a bit more regularly. We need Traore to start doing better. We need Trincao, Huang to start putting balls in the net, and then we should start seeing some stuff from Semedo. Because if you've got a player getting into the positions that Semedo does, even a crappy ball into the box or a misplaced pass or whatever can still lead to a chance and something happening. So I don't think you can overlook him just because I don't really rate him. All the stats are too good.
Yep. Well, we're going to talk about Jimenez later when we look at forwards. Let's look at attacking data now for teams. And Wolves are still up there. They're still in 3rd. As I said, Ticker ranked 13th. City are top. This is minutes per XG non-penalty. City 32.6, the strongest attack so far for that metric. Liverpool 34.7. Then we've got Wolves 45.4. So Wolves are still up there by virtue of their first 3 games, more so than the Watford game. West Ham are still up there as well, 55 minutes per XG non-penalty, even though they struggled against Southampton. And we're going to talk about them in light of their European fixtures in a bit. You're rolling your eyes.
Second to bottom, I've just seen.
Yeah, that's second to bottom is Spurs, 123.7 minutes per XG non-penalty. Why are you rolling your eyes at that? Why is that an issue for you?
Well, they should be doing better.
Yeah.
I know they've had problems and with Kane and Son's injury and stuff. But I mean, I got slated last week for saying they were going to lose to Palace, but 3 1-0 wins, and I think they were lucky in probably 2 of those. And then obviously had the sending off. But did you talking about heat maps? See the heat maps of Mora, Kane, and Ali. They were all in their own half against Palace. It's dire football being played there at the moment, and I mean that they're below Norwich, for God's sake. Like, sort yourselves out, Spurs. You're supposed to be a top 6 side team.
Minutes per chance, 12.6. I mean, only Watford at 18.9 and Leicester at 15.5. By the way, Leicester 15.5
Yeah, I know that's bad.
are poorer than that, and they were ranked 8th on the ticker for these first 4 fixtures. Spurs. So going into these matches, they should have been ranked above, or they should be up there as the best teams in terms of the attack and defence, and they're second from bottom for attack. I mean, Son missing is a big blow, isn't it? And we don't know how long he's out for. We were right on that low. Calf injury, always trouble, right?
Yeah, I know. Well, it's absolutely huge because he is going to carry that team this season, like no doubt about it. I mean, I just don't think we're going to see the same Harry Kane all year that we've seen. I don't think. Here's a prediction for you. I don't think Kane gets 20 goals this season.
I hope you're wrong on that, but yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see with the midfield Spurs have got they've got such a lack of creativity. They need to get Gill in the team, I think, because he's the one to me that I think can make things happen for him. And Kane needs to get further up the pitch. He's having to drop deep because they've got Højbjerg, Skip and Winks as a midfield 3. I mean, who the hell is going to thread a pass in that 3? Like it's an industrious midfield.
It is. It goes back to that Wolves midfielder, Martino, Neves, etc. Right? They were workmanlike. They're not big creators, or weren't under Nuno. I mean, Neves has got it in him. Martino's got it in him. But they were both. They never got beyond the striker, did they? Those two, right? So they just sit, don't they? They sit and they're kind of quarterback players, and I think that's what he's got in that sell-off for Spurs at the moment.
Yeah, I know. And I'm not convinced on Dele Alli either. I don't think he's. I didn't particularly like Mourinho and the way he treated him and stuff, but you can't deny that Ali was in massive decline for season after season. He never hit the heights when he first joined Spurs, and I haven't seen anything from the first 4 matches to make me think Ali's suddenly back and going to be back in the England side and carrying Spurs to wins. No. They got a lot of problems, I think, at Spurs, and I think they're going to probably see this season as a bit of a kind of let's just kind of get through it and see where we are at the end of the season.
Yeah, a new manager, new tactics, new players.
Tactics. Yeah, but I'm steering clear of them.
Look, I just noticed Liverpool minutes per chance, 3.8 minutes per chance is ridiculous, isn't it? I mean,
nuts. Yeah.
I mean, the Leeds game has a lot to do with that, and obviously Leeds were down to 10 men, but Liverpool at the moment are looking very fluid in attack, and yeah, I mean,
Wolves are the anomaly there, though, right? Like Liverpool 3.8 per chance, City 4.6, and then next Wolves 5.6.
Yeah.
Like defensively, they're top, and they're creating a chance every just under 6 minutes. They've just got to start putting balls in the net, and they could win a game 4 or 5-0 with the fixtures.
Yeah, absolutely. This is why people are looking at Jimenez in light of the Calvert-Lewin injury and Antonio's dismissal.
I just want to see him get a goal. I just want to see Jimenez get a goal, see the relief, see the fans celebrating, everyone happy for him, and then just see where he goes from there. I just don't know if I want to get in that early before he's scored one.
Player data then. Go on. Off you go. Go on.
Well, number 1 is Mahrez. Number 2, there's a certain Portuguese player. I think he's quite good, isn't he?
Jota?
No, not him. Where is he? Where is Jota?
He's on there.
He's on there. Yeah. So Ronaldo, 15 minutes per shot, which is the best, I believe, in the league already. And a mins per XG non-pen of 61.2, which is only bettered by Mahrez. So in the two key metrics, I mean, it's a 1-game sample, but if he carries this on every game, then he's not going to statistically the best player in the game that Mark won't ever.
I mean, for a start, Lukaku got a very high XG goal in his first game. Tapping on the line.
I love it when you compare him to Lukaku.
So Ronaldo, right? So they both started with very high XG because of that. That both their first goals were tap-ins, weren't they, on the inside the 6-yard box. So we have to wait a few weeks and see. Lukaku has drifted down as 106.7 minutes per XGI non-penalty. We'll see if Ronaldo stays up there. I mean, I think that Lukaku, Antonio and Ronaldo will dominate this table. Surely is the prediction. It's just who is going to win out of those 3. I expect to see Gallagher and Mane drop down, but Mane, so many chances in that Leeds game, that's boosted him up there. 89.6 minutes per XGI non-penalty. And then Gallagher,
better than
83.9. Yeah, at the moment, he's outdoing Salah for minutes per shot. Minutes per XGI non-penalty. But yeah, going back to Ronaldo, great numbers, no doubt about it. Eye test though, what did you make of it?
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
I'm asking you.
You've been messing about it. Eye test. The eye test is difficult to judge him because United have not been very good in these 2 games. And particularly in the game last night, a Ronaldo without service isn't going to be someone, I don't think, anymore who can just conjure up moments of brilliance. So they need to get
change
players.
The screen at this point, but go on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean they need to get Sancho playing better football. They need to get more from Pogba and Fernandes linking up with Ronaldo more than they're doing. And like I said, I think when Ronaldo gets frustrated with not getting the service, that's what this heat map shows. He drops deeper. He drops deep, and he's not doing it in a way like Kane does to spread passes around and dictate. No. He's just trying to get the ball so he can kind of turn. But whether that's going to be an effective way of him getting goals, I'm not too sure about. So I think you're right. You were right last week in the sense that I think they are still learning how to play with Ronaldo. And I think he got lucky with the 2 goals he got. I mean, a tap-in, great positioning. I mean, he's going to hoover up, anything like that because he's the best in the world for that kind of poacher effort now. But the second one, great through ball from Shaw. He runs onto it and hits the target, and that's all you want him to do. So, bit lucky, but I think a goal would have probably been the right outcome for Ronaldo in that game, and he managed to get 2. I think that's something that we're just going to see happen a lot. I think he's going to come away with points when he doesn't always deserve to, and that's why I like him as an FPL pick.
Yeah, I think I said last week, he's going to feed off defensive errors and he's going to feed off crosses. And in that game, I think he benefited from 2. One glaring mistake and then Woodman through his legs. I mean, I guess he went through his legs, but it was a bit of a chasm rather than a gap with the legs. So I think Woodman was at fault for both goals. I think what's interesting in this data that I'm showing here, we talked about the importance of crosses and we anticipated that United would adjust and start getting more open play crosses in. And so far this season, they've averaged 8.3 crosses from open play per match. In that game, they put in 16 crosses. So straight away, it doubled. Right. So straight away, you could see from open play, they were trying to get more crosses in. The next stat, though, they didn't succeed with any of their crosses. Don't have the quality. They didn't have the quality with the crosses. Now, normally they put in 1.3 successful crosses open play per match. They didn't put any in. And that's what I meant. I said on Saturday, Ronaldo didn't get the service. Didn't get any service whatsoever that he needed to shine. And yet he still got the 2 goals, but he benefited from mistakes to get those goals. So I think they've got to improve. If he's going to get the 25 goals that he needs to get 25 goals to justify his price, right? United will have to get crosses into him. And I still don't know where they're going to come from. Is Bruno and Shaw are the best creative players? Sancho is like, what's going on? I mean, I don't know he needs to give him time and needs to get him settled. But how long does he give him? He's been poor, hasn't he? No,
he's been really poor. And it's difficult last night because obviously Wan-Bissaka got sent off and the sacrifice had to be made. And I think Solskjaer went a bit mad with the changes he made and made too many. And it was the second half of that United game was just... It was embarrassing, really. I mean, to be up against, I know you've got 10 men, but you're up against one of the weaker teams in the Champions League, and to basically just go through, all-out defence. I mean, it's Football Manager. They use Solskjaer park the bus, stuck everyone behind the ball. No wonder Ronaldo isn't getting any service or touches because they weren't even trying to get the ball to him. I don't know. It felt like the wrong thing for me. But yeah, I don't know who's gonna cross to him. I mean, Sancho is just not delivering. He doesn't look the part at the moment. And is it going to be another Timo Werner who comes in from the Bundesliga and doesn't do it? He needs Sancho. To me, is just screams confidence. Right, he's a player who can beat a man, do tricks, do all the kind of stuff, and he's got to knuckle down and get the basics right. And I just wonder how long that's going to take before that clicks, and then he starts showing signs of what he's capable of. Might not even happen this season. No, but we said they've got to get him settled to get Ronaldo crosses. I don't see Greenwood putting crosses in. I don't put Rashford putting crosses in. It's not natural part of their game, is it? Where Sancho is a winger, it should be. Bruno will try, Shaw will try, but I don't think that's going to be enough. It wasn't enough on Saturday. Obviously, he got his goals, but you've got to look at this as an early sign of they might struggle with this. But West Ham's going to be really interesting because that's a better team, better defence. Better defenders, bigger, stronger defenders for Ronaldo to be up against. And it's not going to be lost on West Ham that they have to stop Shaw getting crosses in.
And Bruno was interesting. His performance, he was getting very close to Ronaldo and even swapping with him at times. When Ronaldo was coming deeper, Bruno was going beyond him quite a lot. And as a Bruno owner, I was watching that thinking, is it worth keeping him? I mean, what do you make of that?
I don't think it's worth keeping him.
No.
He loses too much with the penalties, and he scored an amazing goal outside of the box. You want a player scoring tap-ins. That's what I've always said. You want a player like Ronaldo who's going to just hoover up those kind of chances and break through the last man and have a shot on goal. Like if Bruno's going to rely on outside of the box efforts and that's about it, he's not going to get close to 200 points or above. So he's an easy sell for me. There's better premium options for sure than Fernandes. I definitely wouldn't be holding him going forward.
Yeah. Okay.
And the fixtures aren't even that good either. So
no, absolutely. But I think for me, I think the jury is out on Ronaldo. I don't think we
Trent
can learn
scored,
enough.
By the way,
I know he has. Yeah, of course. I don't think we know enough from that one game because Newcastle were always going to be one of the poorer teams, and they did make mistakes. And yeah, United didn't get the service in, but let's see against West Ham. I think we can learn more. I mean, I'm not rushing to sell Lukaku to get Ronaldo, put it that way. And I'm not rushing to get them both in at the moment. But Threemium, as was coined on who got the assist this week, that is officially the term for having Ronaldo, Lukaku and Salah in your team. What do you make of that? I asked you to go and put together a team of a Threemium team together, and you came up with this.
I didn't find it easy.
No. It's not easy because you've got to keep Trent in there as well. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion about, well, Trent goes, we can get Robertson or even go down to another Chelsea defender. But, he's just reminded us tonight, you can't overlook Trent. I think, if anything, value for money, he's the best player in the game, right? So, Trent and Salah stay. Do you want to talk through this team for the podcast?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying this is like the optimal team or the best team. This was just the kind of what I thought I would probably go for if I was going to do it. So, Sanchez in goal. Trent, Reece James, sort of getting prepared for the Gameweek 7 match. Marcel, who has been good value for 4.5. Salah, and then the midfield is very, very light. Decore, Gallagher, and Rafinha. So kind of similar to yours. You've got three mids, 6'5"-ish and under. But then up front you've got Lukaku, Ronaldo, and I managed to squeeze Jimenez in.
Yeah,
who could also be Antonio or Bamford or something like that. So I don't think it's a truly terrible team. The bench is Foster, Williams, Livramento and Mendy. So obviously Mendy doesn't play, but Williams and Livramento I think are good 4 million defenders. And they're kind of key to making this all happen, I think. Those two 4 million defenders who are going to play every week mean that you can kind of do this. The issues, of course, are Decore and Gallagher. I think Rafinha's fine. Rafinha's fine for, with the fixtures he's got. Gallagher's been having good underlying stats, and I love Decore as an option. You could go for Gray, obviously, if you like him as well. But it's your question. Where do you move to? I mean, where do you move to when these players don't deliver?
Jimenez to Calvert-Lewin is not possible. That's a 0.5 extra, and even Jimenez to Antonio's extra money. Is your bank empty with this, or you got money in the bank as well?
No. Well, there's not that much. There's not that much money in the bank. But I mean, there's things you could do. I mean, you could move James down to someone, for example, like a 5 million.
Yeah.
You swap Marcel to Eiling and James to Semedo, and swap things around a little bit. I think it's more the sense that you don't need to have like a 6 million striker in there. You don't need to have like a Tony or a. You can have a kind of a decent mid-price striker. That I was surprised I was able to do that. I do prefer this team to. One that is 4 at the back.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, my point about this is, I mean, you've got Decore, Gallagher in there, and the only players I see you being able to move for transfers to try and make an impact with your transfers are those two, and maybe Jimenez if you've got money to upgrade them. So the issue here for me is you're restricting your ability to make a difference with transfers because you don't have enough liquid capital, if you like, to move around, and because once you've got Lukaku, Ronaldo, Salah, and Trent, they ain't going anywhere, are they? Right, so that's the bulk of your budget, or a good chunk of your budget tied up, and then what else can you do? So it does limit your ability to move to fixture and form. Now that might be okay for now, but give it 5 weeks.
I'm just not sure it's necessary because I mean I was talking to Sam about this earlier on the Scout Q&A. I mean when you've got Salah for the next 2, it's Brentford and Palace and then Brentford.
Bring this up
And then
now.
you've got Lukaku with the run that he's got. Like, I'm massive Ronaldo fanboy, but you are paying 12.5 for a player who you're not going to captain.
Yeah.
Probably right up until Gameweek 14, 15, something like that. And even then, it's not like Salah and Lukaku's fixtures are really difficult. So I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it to sacrifice flexibility to get in players like Doucouré and Gallagher, who I don't have a huge amount of faith in with the fixture they've got to deliver like a decent option. And when you've got players like Jota and Torres and 7.6 guys, I want to be able to get them if I feel like I need to. So I'm still in the favour of my own team not doing that and just moving Ronaldo down to Lukaku in 7.
Yeah, I mean this table is what we showed last week when I was arguing against getting Ronaldo, which is the captaincy. And feasibly, you don't have to captain Ronaldo now until game week 15, maybe, when United have got Palace at home. I don't see possibly Watford away versus Salah at home to Arsenal, possibly Villa at home versus Salah at Brentford in game week 6. But actually, the way Liverpool are playing, the way Salah are playing, no, I'd probably still stick with Salah in those games.
I mean, it can all change around. I mean, if by game week 12 United have clicked as a team
totally.
and a unit, then I think it's that Ronaldo's a very different proposition. But in the next 2 games, like United were just bad against Newcastle. At the first half, they just struggled.
This is my point.
I know,
Until that goal went in, they didn't look like they had any idea they were going to score.
It's not Ronaldo's fault. It was happening before him. I mean, look at the Southampton game. They were poor in that as well. I mean, they blew Leeds away, and then since then they've been pretty crap, to be honest. So yeah, I mean, there's a long time to go. I think obviously United have got such talented players. We're going to start seeing them gel more and click more and stuff. But at the moment, Salah and Liverpool are just. Salah has just missed a penalty in the Champions League, as I said that.
Oh dear, that's a bit of a blow. Oh, okay.
But you wouldn't. I wouldn't be captaining Ronaldo over Salah in 6. And Villa aren't with Martinez. Villa aren't going to be.
Brentford's defence though is strong, but I just think they'll be up against the strongest attack, and I just see Liverpool finding a way in most matches this season.
We talk about Mane. I have to say, Salah. I have always liked Salah. I've talked about him when I went to see him in that
player,
Europa League
he's not
game.
bad, is he? He's all right. Yeah.
I scouted him early days, and I'm owed a fee from someone, I swear. But I honestly think this season he's gone up. He's gone up a level. This is the best he's ever played. I think and Mane's going the other way. Mane's making bad decisions.
I think you're being harsh on Mane. His decision making has been bad for about a year, hasn't it?
Yeah, but mostly his decision making. Whereas Salah's, I think, he's doing everything right. He seems to be making the right pass. He's making the right decisions. He's clinical. He looks like just a proper elite player now. And I think, there was doubt, is he going to be a one-season wonder? Is he going to not be able to consistently do it? I think he now has to be considered as a genuine Premier League great player. And this season, he's gone up another level, which I didn't think he would be able to do, but he has. I think he's phenomenal. And, you've got Lukaku and Ronaldo there who everyone's kind of eyeing up and looking to. But if I'm picking one out of the 3 of them, I'm sticking with Salah any day.
Yeah. But I think my point is with Lukaku and Salah, I can get through till about 15 before I have to reconsider, I think. So I put a team together, which is kind of like my Ronaldo balance team. Ronaldo, does that work? Probably not, no. But,
I bet you were so proud of that.
No, not really. I typed it out and said, can I go with that? Oh, I will now, don't I? So this is kind of what I'm trying to get to, I guess, with my current team. It's Sanchez, Trent, Rudiger, James, Cancelo, so 4 at the back. But I still have 5 strong midfielders. I've got Salah, Jota, Rafinha, Benrahma at the moment in this team, with Sarr on the bench. Now, obviously, Benrahma, Sarr can be downgraded, or one of them can go to a 4-5, so I can upgrade one of the others, and Antonio and Lukaku. And that's the point. That's what I was trying to get at. With this team, Jota can go to Torres, Jota can go to Mount, Benrahma and Sarr could be downgraded, one of them to a 4-5, then I can upgrade one of them to another 7.5 if I really want to. Plenty of money at the back that I can flush out at any time. I can go back to 3 defenders and get a 4 million defender in and flush out another 1.5 there. I just see it and think there's so much more flexibility. And the only reason I wouldn't do this and go 3 premiums is if that 3rd premium was going to be a captain for me on a regular basis, so like a third of the time. And as we saw in the last graphic, that isn't going to be the case perhaps until about 14 or 15 when United's fixtures turn. So this is what I'm kind of pitching towards. And I just prefer, yes, Saar, Veltman and Perica are my subs at the moment in this team. So I just prefer this flexibility. And it's interesting, I saw General tonight say very similar, that he's looked at the Threemium thing and isn't a fan. So I think this, but it's fascinating because some will go with it. I mean, Magnus, he's going for it, presumably. Well, he has. He's got Aubameyang as a placeholder for Ronaldo now. So it's just great that it's going to split the community, this, isn't it? And
yeah, I love it. And even Antonio as well. Antonio's splitting people because some people are selling him for, Bamford, and Calvert-Lewin's out as well. So yeah, we're seeing a lot. I mean, so this team isn't like your kind of like ideal. A few people, by the way, in the chat, Kamzi and Niraj Sharma saying CristiaNO would have been better.
CristiaNO? What do you mean? Oh, CristiaNO.
No.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that one. That's absolutely brilliant. Well, congratulations.
That is gold.
Yeah,
that is absolute gold, I have to say.
Yeah.
So this isn't your optimal team, and this is the team that you can get with just a couple of moves, is it?
Yeah, no, this is the team I'm trying to get to by game week 7.
Right. Yeah, so you're a couple of moves away.
Yeah,
three or four moves away.
I'm 4 moves away from getting this.
And 2 free transfers.
I've got 2 free transfers this week. So 2 of my transfers this week will be to move towards this. So in game week 7, it gives me the triple Chelsea. And I look at this and think I would rather have Rudiger and James going into their 5 fixtures than have Ronaldo going into his fixtures. Because if you look at the fixtures that United have got, over the next 6, they're bottom of the ticker. Right. So this is the other thing about going freemium. Ronaldo, even if you're not going to captain him, they're tough games. West Ham, Villa, Everton, Leicester, Liverpool, Spurs, right? I mean, obviously Spurs maybe isn't as tough as the ticker says. Maybe Leicester isn't as tough as the ticker says. But I still think they're opponents that have got something about them, right? They've got decent players that are going to restrict United in some way. Maybe the counter-attack will be better for Ronaldo. Maybe against tougher opponents he'll be better. But the Serie A data didn't suggest that. He didn't produce against better teams there last season. So I look at this and think, not only the fixtures, not only does it give you lack of flexibility, but also the fixtures for Ronaldo suggest he won't get this isn't going to be his best spell of the season, I would say.
No, I completely agree, and I think that the move from Ronaldo to Lukaku is an easy one, and you don't forget you've got 0.9 as well, or $1 million, to spend, so you can use that. I mean, the only thing I don't like with the team you just showed, really, is the Benrahma and Saar, in the middle. I mean, you can move them, but Benrahma is perhaps going to be an issue for you soon. Watford are awful. So I don't particularly like that. I mean, obviously you wouldn't go for them on like a wild card, I wouldn't have thought, but
no,
you're kind of prioritising other moves. But yeah, I mean, I've got Greenwood in my side, for example, for United, and I think he's going to forget about whether we can cover Ronaldo and all that, because that's all a load of rubbish, but I still think he's a good 7.5 option. And he gives me that ability to move for Jota or Torres and stuff if I want to. So I'm happy with him there. But yeah, I don't think Ronaldo is essential if you're not going to be captaining him.
No, I look at that Chelsea run: Southampton, Brentford, Norwich, Newcastle. That's 4 clean sheets, isn't it?
It's 4 clean sheets and it's 6 goals for Lukaku. So, I mean, it won't transpire. We'll be looking back at this in game week 10 and being like, oh, that didn't go as well. But Chelsea are just a great side, and Lukaku's a good striker, and their defence. I mean, you look at the clean sheets Tuchel's had since he came in, and it's far superior to anyone else in the league. Like they so rarely get troubled defensively. And look at the performance Mendy had against Villa. I mean, they've just got a top quality goalkeeper now as well. They've addressed every weakness
they were pretty lucky against Villa. Let's face it, but they didn't have Kante in the team, and that's 2 players missing, right? So
they were lucky, but Mendy was inspired, and and it's the same with Liverpool, right? Like Liverpool should have conceded goals in the first 2 games, and they've got Alisson, and you've got that kind of goalkeeper, and he can turn a certain goal into, a comfortable win on the scoreline.
Yeah. So very much in my mind.
I'm so impressed. I'm so impressed with Chelsea. Really
to get 2 Chelsea defenders is very much my objective, because I think that you can almost. I mean, I've seen these run of fixtures before, and I haven't capitalised on them. Like when City have a good run, you should get on their defenders, at least one. So how often do we look back and go, of course, why didn't I get an ex-defender? It's so obvious, and I just can't bring myself to get to game week 7 and not capitalise on that with 2 Chelsea defenders. And the other thing that makes it easy is I'm not convinced by Mount and I'm not convinced by Havertz. So the extra 2 Chelsea slots, it really just lends itself go defence.
Absolutely, completely agree.
It's no good. You keep agreeing. Right,
I know,
okay.
I know. I don't like to agree, but you're
You're
right
only
about
agreeing because you know you've got the smug bit coming up. Let's talk about forwards, because obviously there's an issue with Antonio missing a game week for the sending off. Calvert-Lewin has the injury, and we were on the ball with that one as well. We did say, didn't we, there was more to that one, we felt. And so he missed out, of course, and he could be out for 2 or 3 weeks as well. So people are shopping around now. I mean, there's managers out there like Joe who've got them both, right? So they've got to make a move for a striker
on
somewhere.
the wild card as well.
Yeah, but it's just very unfortunate, the Calvert-Lewin thing, I guess. But,
I mean, we kind of said, we think there might be something in this Calvert-Lewin thing, and then the next day he was pictured in training.
Yeah, so it looked like
and I
we
was
were
like,
wrong.
oh, he's completely fine, and I was debating bringing him in because he was one of my options of not going with Ronaldo. I could have been absolutely kicking myself if I'd done that. It is a close shave. It's these fine margins. So
Yeah.
It's always the way with FPL, isn't it? And sometimes they fall your way. Honestly, I thought Calvert-Lewin starting at home to Burnley, I wouldn't. I mean, I probably would have backed Ronaldo over him against Newcastle, but I thought Calvert-Lewin could be in for a big haul in that game. You're bloody unlucky if you brought him in and.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
I mean, the thing is, he must have done the injury in training, right? Presumably, I think he's had a toe injury, a muscle injury, then a further injury suffered in training as a result of the broken toe. Because once you've got an injury, you're compensating for that, right? He's compensating for the broken toe, and it's obviously causing further problems. So they need to wait for the toe to fix. Basically, is what they're doing, I think. But also, he's got a muscle injury alongside that. So 2 or 3 weeks out. Antonio out. What's your take on Antonio? What are you doing with him?
Well, the fixtures are so good immediately after the United game that he's going to miss that I don't want to go into those without him. I don't want to go into the Leeds game without Antonio. I think he could absolutely bully. I mean, who's going to be at centre back for Leeds? I mean, Llorente's injured again now. It could be Eiling and Cooper.
Yeah.
Against Antonio, he's going to absolutely destroy them. You would have thought. The only thing is Europa League, and that's starting, and obviously. Antonio's got the ban, so he'll be starting. I imagine. Is it tomorrow they're playing?
It is.
Or is it next week?
No, it is. I mean, I mocked this up just because I anticipated this is where you could go. So tomorrow they got Zagreb. Yeah. So it's a tough start for them in the Europa League, and this really highlights the schedule that West Ham have got. So they play Zagreb tomorrow. Then they've got 2 clean days between their game with United on Sunday. So immediately their resolve is tested. Now, I had a look at the West Ham squad that they've named for the Europa League, and they have got a decent 11 without the likes of Ben Rama, without the likes of Antonio. They can play Yarmolenko in the central role. They can play Lanzini. They'll probably play one of Bowen, Ben Rama, or Vlasic, right? So one of those 3 will play, and they'll probably alternate which one comes in. They've got a decent midfield. They've got a new signing in central midfield. They've got Noble, of course. So they can put an 11 out, which can do a job, I think, in the Europa League. Yeah. So we need to see what team sheet Moyes puts out tomorrow, and whether. I mean, Antonio could play in this game because he's not available Sunday, right? So
he will. I'm almost certain he will. I mean, I think my wild cards. I think I'm going to play in the international break between game week 7 and 8,
right?
Because my team actually looks half decent for game week 7, and I can get Lukaku. And just roll with him for 7 and then use the wild card and then triple up on Chelsea, because I like the look of Antonio in that game in 7 against Brentford at home. I know Brentford have got good underlying numbers, but they're a newly promoted side. You've got to fancy West Ham to win that. And then it's game week 8 when quite a few of my players sort of have tougher games. So although 7 is the fixture turn for Chelsea, a lot of players in my team don't switch until 8. So yeah, Antonio's going nowhere from my side. I think missing a United game when we're not expecting a huge amount from anyway. I can play the mighty Billy Gilmore against Watford, and then Leeds and Brentford. So to me, he's an easy hold.
Yeah. It's interesting that there is that international break between 7 and 8, which gives them a 12-day break before they play Everton. But of course, Antonio could go away with Jamaica, right? So he may not get the break. And then it depends how I mean, the EFL Cup tie with United on the 22nd is quite key. If West Ham go out of that will help, right? That will help the congestion. If they beat United, then they're going to have problems later down the line. So I think Antonio for now is a keep, probably until game week 7 as well for me. Because I agree, I want him for that Leeds game and I want him for the Brentford game.
So game of game.
And I think what's key is they've got Rapid Vienna at home before the Brentford game and after the Leeds game. So the home Europa League ties should be easier for them, right? They're not travelling, they haven't got that fatigue, and they're available for training quicker and so on. So I think the fact that their next 2 Europa League games at home to Rapid Vienna and Genk gives us a bit of time to assess the impact.
I think as well, like there's just not with Calvert-Lewin being out, there's not a huge amount of options that I really feel like I need to move him on for. Like Bamford, has got Newcastle, but Leeds have been disappointing, I'd say, this season so far. Jimenez, as I said, I'm still waiting for him to get a goal. Like Tony's, the fixtures are awful. You're not going to go down to like Pookie. So I just think we can hold him. I think we can hold him as long, and even if you're having to play someone like Ben White, who's got Burnley, or Williams or Gilmore, I just think 1 week, just keep him because he could do some real damage against Leeds.
So what would you do if you had Calvert-Lewin now? If you've got Antonio and Calvert-Lewin, where'd you go?
You've got to sell Calvert-Lewin. Right. It's absolute no-brainer. Like that is the easiest transfer you'll ever make in your life.
So what do you do with it, though? I mean, do you try and get to Lukaku, I guess, ideally? But if you can't do that, where'd you go?
Well, you probably just do a straight swap for one of Bamford or Jimenez.
Yes. Well, I think Bamford for me. I mean, the ironic thing this week is there's been that clip that's gone round after the Liverpool game. Yeah, he was handed. He did this post-match interview, and just before the interview started, you heard him say under his breath, "My hamstrings are pinging," almost like as a hint there to the FPL managers, being an FPL player himself. I'd like to think that's Patrick all over.
I don't.
What do you put into that? Any stock at all?
Well, I don't really understand. Like pinging to me just means they're hurting. Like he's been running. Like he's been running a lot.
Yeah.
He didn't say, "Oh, my hamstring just pinged." If he said pinged, like it's gone, but pinging it implies that it's just fatigue. So I don't know why.
Could be cramp.
Yeah,
right?
cramp. I don't know why. I think he was just being like, I've run a lot and my legs are hurting. I think everyone needs to chill out a bit.
He did fear. You could see. I mean, this is great Columbo work, right? You did see footage of him rubbing his hamstrings post match as well. I've seen all the slow motion replays of Bamford rubbing his thighs, which if you get caught with that, I know exactly. They're out there.
Explaining that to the missus.
It's out there. And then I've heard the clip. I mean, this is first class detective work by the FPL community.
It's like Harry Kane's red nose all over again.
Yeah, it's better than that, I think. So. I think the message is don't move yet until Bielsa's spoken, because knowing Bielsa, he'll tell us, won't he? I mean, I'd like to think there's an FPL manager in the presser who can ask, but I think there's a 50% chance that if he's injured, he'll come out and say, Patrick.
I mean, he did the press conference, didn't he, Bamford, and came out and was just happily talking away afterwards.
Yeah, and if there was any doubt, he wouldn't be doing the post-match interviews, would he? Standing on the pitch, you'd think he'd be straight down the dressing room getting.
There's nothing wrong with him.
I think it's cramp. Yeah,
I think it's cramp.
So I think that's the way to go. Jimenez, I've watched him now. I've watched full matches and I've watched him in action. I don't know, I want to be charitable after what he's been through, but I can't help but think I don't want to say it, but he's not the player he was, right? In terms of confidence, it's bound to affect you mentally. And I just don't see him, obviously, challenging with the same physicality that he had before. He's not going for balls which he perhaps would have done before in the air, and he just doesn't look sharp. He doesn't look confident, and it's no surprise. I mean, I'm not knocking him, I am, but I'm knocking his ability. I think to convert his time on the pitch into FPL points at the moment. I'm not confident.
I think the problem is as well. He's got like I think it could happen. Is it large? You pronounce it? Large, yeah. Could take him out of the spotlight a bit. And he's got options around him. Podence is back now. Fabio Silva's there. They've got Hwang who can play up front. Traore can even play up front. I know he's playing the majority of minutes, and he probably will still play the majority of minutes. But the longer he goes without a goal, the more it will get into his head. I think. You think? I absolutely. I mean, it would do for any striker anyway. Let alone a striker who's been through what he's been through. He needs a goal. He just needs to get a goal. I think once he gets a goal, he can go on a run. But I don't know when that goal's going to come.
Only Antonio's had more shots inside the box so far this season. 12 to Antonio's 15. I mean, this is the other thing that points to keeping Antonio. He's a stats monster, Minutes per XGI, 119.8. 15 shots inside the box, more than any other striker this season. 6 big chances, more than any other striker this season. He's had that one game at Southampton and then got sent off, and I just don't think he's deserved us to give up on him yet. But with Calvert-Lewin, yeah, I agree. You have to sell him, and Bamford would be my preferred choice. Do you see any other names down there that even tempt you?
I have to say, I was very impressed with Watkins coming back into the team against Chelsea. And I think that's going to be a massive boost for Ings generally, having that kind of strike partner with him. But I do think Watkins could maybe become an option again if he's not going to be shipped over to the left wing, because he looked razor sharp against Chelsea. He was very unlucky not to score, or unlucky again. Some absolutely great goalkeeping. I think the problem with Watkins is Ings is there, and you've got to think they're probably going to share the points between them. But be interesting to see how that kind of partnership develops. Other than that, not really. I mean, quite a few people talking about like Dennis, for example, of Watford. Watford are going down.
No, God,
I'm not going there. Pedro's, going to probably be back soon. Pookie's right down the bottom of this list. I mean, he's below bloody Joe Linton, for God's sake. Sort yourself out, Timu. Norwich need you, especially against Watford. Massive game. So yeah, I don't know. It's not a particularly riveting list, is it?
It isn't. And one of the reasons why I've kind of previously said I wouldn't want to go two big strikers is because there has been the availability of good mid-price options at the start of the season. Wilson, Calvert-Lewin, Antonio, and Bamford, right? But at the moment, we're scrapping around for options because of the injury and the dismissal. But I think you're absolutely right. In a few matches' time, we'll see more of these players pop, right? We will see. I agree with you again. I keep agreeing with you. Watkins looked outstanding. I think that was one of the best games I've ever seen Watkins have.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's been out for ages, and new Villa system and new players around him. No Buendia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. Really good.
I agree. When their fixtures get better, Watkins, I think, will be a factor again in our season. 7.3 at the moment. He's probably going to keep going down in price as well. So definitely keep him in mind. But one name who's not on here because he hasn't played enough minutes, Edouard. I know you don't like talking about him, but coming on 2 goals straight away. Palace, when their fixtures are better, is he going to be 6.5?
It's almost like he would have been absolutely perfect for Brighton. It's almost like what we've been crying out for about 4 seasons. Really strong debut. I mean, if he carries on with that record, he's going to be top of this list, get 40 goals in the league, and if he scores with every touch, he's going to be essential, right?
Just like Ronaldo's going to, right? It's no question.
That's what you do when you use 1 week of data. It's obviously going to be there for the whole season. Really impressive. Just the thing with Palace, I think I still prefer Gallagher anyway. He's got set pieces. He's playing very advanced, 5'5" midfielder. Extra point for a goal, all that kind of stuff. I think he's just genuinely a great asset. It's just the fixtures are just so up and down for Palace. Like, I guess it doesn't really matter if it's just going to be a player that you don't captain and just kind of leave. But like Liverpool, Brighton, Leicester, Arsenal, like it's not terrible, but it's not amazing.
Right. They've got the 2 home games in the next 6, which are Brighton and Newcastle. Brighton being the derby, of course, but actually they're poor, aren't they? Liverpool away, Leicester at home, and City away. You're not going to get much.
And then Wolves as well. So like in the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, in the next 7 games, the only game I really fancy Edouard or Gallagher to have a good match is Newcastle at home. I think they can chip in with the odd goal, odd assist and stuff. Obviously, they're not going to lose every game 3-0. They've been too good for that. But when you're investing in a player, you want to see at least a couple of games of green. And I think when you've only got 1 game in like 8 where you think that's the one they're going to get returns in, I think it's a void.
I think it'll be in hard. I think Leicester at home, Arsenal away, Newcastle. I think Gallagher could get something in those games, but I think we need more evidence, don't we? I think it's too early to jump on Edouard or even Gallagher maybe based on those fixtures. I think there were probably better options who. But Gallagher, if he's a 5'5", he's going to be your 5th mid, then maybe. But if you've got to start him every week with those fixtures,
I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I just think if I saw in that 8 that there was like 4 games that there was like good bankable fixtures in, I'd probably say I think he's the perfect enabler and we should really strongly be considering getting him in. I just don't feel the need to like massively say we need to move for them based on the fixtures. But I think if you're wildcarding and you need an enabler, I still think he's a good pick.
Definitely, because he's on set pieces as well, Gallagher as well, isn't he? So
he's just great. He's just a great player. I really like watching him. Really exciting. Great signing for them.
Okay, we've done that. What have we got to do this? What do we normally do around this time? I'm trying to remember what it is. It's completely slipped my mind. Yeah, okay, it's the predictions. Shall we do that? I mean, that's enough of that, though. No, I mean, this is ridiculous. So, if you don't know, if you're new to the show, basically every week, Az and I predict the scores, and then we've got this fantastic guy in the community, FPL Pot Noodle, who logs those scores and keeps a record of how we're doing. And up until now, I've just about pipped Az and had about a 50% accuracy with my outcomes. And this week, I stuck to it, consistent, 50% accuracy with my outcomes, 2 scores correct. But Az, like some kind of, I don't know, like
I don't know what's happened.
some kind of Nostradamus Jack Whitehall has come along with a 90% outcome.
I know.
Crazy.
I know. And one of those was Palace. That
9
I got.
outcomes correct.
9 out of 10 right. Yeah. One of them was Palace. I got Brighton to win, which I was happy with. Wolves to beat Watford, which was happy with, and Liverpool to beat Leeds. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit strange. I mean, to be fair, the 90% is great, but I'm really happy with that, predicting that Palace win.
Yeah, that was the big call.
That was the big one for me. And going for Brighton, I don't think my dad predicted a Brighton win. I think he was a bit more pessimistic. But
you said, not only did you predict the Palace win, you said it would be a wake up call for Spurs, and you couldn't have said it better. It absolutely was in a big way. I mean, 3-0. So yeah, I mean that score and the Brighton result was the one that I looked at the others, and to be honest, they're bleeding obvious, aren't they?
Yeah, no,
that's. But
that's the thing. You can sometimes try and be a bit clever with these, and or you can go like Lawrenson on BBC Sport and just always predict wins for like the top 6 and never deviate from it. But yeah, 90% is. Yeah, and the only team that let me down was West Ham v Southampton, which I thought was an absolute banker as well.
So did I. But there you go. So you're up to 58% correctness. So listen up, notebooks out, because Az is about to predict the scores and outcomes for Gameweek 5, as am I. So we'll start with Newcastle Leeds. It's the Friday game. I predict a cracking game here because, I mean, neither can defend, right? We know that. They've both got injuries. I mean, Newcastle don't have Wilson, which could hold them back a bit. But I think Leeds at the back are quite generous right now. They've got injuries. Stroiklo, is banned as well. I thought that might be overturned, but it's not as of today. So you're right. They could line up with Alien and Cooper. And then who comes in at right back, would you say? I don't know. I'm trying to think who would play right back. Shackleton, would he turn up there? I don't know what they're going to do. Is Cock fit? Is he available, or is he flagged at the moment? Have a look. I haven't heard from him, so I presume he's out injured as well. So they are in trouble.
No, he's out.
So Lorente, Koch and Stroik out. So I presume they will have to play Alien at centre-back and then bring in Shackleton at right back.
Can Dallas play right back?
Oh, yeah, Dallas could. Of course, he'll play Dallas. He'll play Dallas over there, won't he?
That weakens the midfield. Do you know what? I've predicted a Leeds win here, but I think Leeds could be in a relegation battle this year.
No. Oh, come on.
Did you actually think they're that good?
Yeah, I think they're a great team. I do. I think they're a great team still.
I think it's interesting that people last year are saying how brave they are, and this year maybe the romanticism's gone a little bit, and actually people saying a bit naive at times. Like, they take on the big teams and they get battered every time. It's getting a bit ridiculous. They've got a run of games now where if they don't pick up points, they're going to get sucked in.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I backed them to win before everyone starts saying that I hate Leeds, like they do whenever I say a team's going to lose. I think Leeds are going to win this game, and I'm backing them not to get sucked into a relegation battle. But are they going to kick on from last season? I just don't know if they're that. Firpo doesn't look amazing. Bamford might regress a little bit.
No.
You think Bamford's going to get 17
that.
goals again? It's defensively. The defence is just awful. Cooper is not that good. Lorente is always injured. Eiling is not a centre-back.
I agree with you. They need Koch back and they need Stroik back to give them some bit of depth there. I mean, they're there for the taking. It's unfortunate. I mean, the timing of this good fixture run is unfortunate for them because they go into it with confidence and injuries, right? Confidence low and injuries.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Right? So they're not positioned well to exploit it, are they?
Yeah, I don't know. I just they need to win. They need to win games, and that's like the most stupid commentary that you ever hear in your life. But I think this Newcastle game is a big game for Leeds because I think if they draw it like you're predicting, or they lose it, I think the pressure's going to start mounting up, and second season is often difficult in the Premier League.
See, that's interesting. I'm going to go back to the ticker at this point because the fixtures for Leeds is incredible, right? The next 6, they're top of the ticker with Newcastle, West Ham, Watford, Southampton, Wolves and Norwich. One of my potential routes this week is to spend 4 and get Rafinha and Bamford in and Semedo at the back, right? But that is going heavily on Leeds, right? And that goes against everything you've just said there. So would you my question to you is Leeds a worthy bandwagon or not at the moment?
Honestly, I don't think it is. I'm seeing lots of people with 3 Leeds, and Eiling I think is rubbish, like as an FPL option. Rafinha, I've said it multiple times on this podcast. I don't think he's the best FPL pick. I think he's cheap. His price is good at 6.5.
It's value, isn't it? Yeah.
He'll tick over well for a 6.5 option, I think, but I don't think he's like an essential must-have pick who's going to regularly hit double-digit points. And I haven't seen stuff from Bamford to make me think that he's going to hit the heights of last season either. I think Rodrigo's lurking around as well. It is tricky. I mean, Leeds have had tough fixtures. That's
it. I think where were they on the ticker? Let's just go back to the team attack. Leeds were 19th for these first 4. So they basically had the second worst set of fixtures for the first 4. So bear that in mind. I mean, I think
it's just such a competitive league, and so many teams have strengthened. And Firpo and Dan James haven't made Leeds a massively better option, massively better unit for me. They had massive issues in defence that I really think they needed to address. Not sign like an attacking fullback and a pacey winger. Like they just weren't like the things that they needed to. Like Eiling can't play at centre back in a Premier League team. He is not a centre back. He's not good enough to play in that position. Cooper didn't prove it last season. Is struggling again. And I said Llorente's injured all the time. I'm looking at Leeds and thinking if this was this time last season, we'd all be jumping on them like massively. Bamford would be in, Rafinha would be in, and all of that. But I'm not getting any of them.
I've got to admit, I mean, I am showing caution. I'm kind of sold on Bamford. I think 17 goals, 11 assists. That's 28 goal involvements. I'll say it now. Ronaldo, I don't think will get 28 goal involvements. Right? I think he could get 25 goals and 3 assists, maybe. But 28 goal involvements for, what was he, a 7 million striker last season is outstanding.
Unbelievable season for Bamford.
So I think he's got. I
love how you've managed to make Bamford about Ronaldo as well.
Well, no, it's a good point. I think it's a good point because if you look at, he got 190 points, right, and he's good value this season. I don't necessarily think he'll regress. It will depend if Leeds come out of this period with a revival. If they don't, then Bamford's not going to. If they don't recover, if they don't make the most of this run, Bamford's not going to get near his totals probably. But I do think we underestimate what Bamford did last season as a mid-price striker, and that's why I'm saying going 2 big strikers up top will mean you're probably restricted about your third striker, and you could miss out on a player like that or a Calvert-Lewin or an Antonio who does that similar again and offers good value. So I'm not unconvinced by Bamford. I still got time for him. Rafinha equally, I think he's suffered because of the fixtures. So I still think as an attacking force, Leeds are going to make the most of this run, I think. But I'm hesitant, I've got to say. I'm hesitant.
Rafinha's the play for me. I think if you get Rafinha, or if you've got him and holding him and stuff, like I think he should do pretty well over these weeks. But I thought at the start of the season when I saw this run for Leeds that I would bet any money on me having at least one of their players in my side, and I don't, and I'm not particularly worried about it either.
You're not scared about them, are you?
No, I'm not.
No, I was disappointed because I thought the Liverpool game we would see the real Leeds, but they were restricted by the 10 men. I think that's the problem, right? I think that sending off did change everything. I think Leeds could have staged a comeback without that, but it wasn't going to happen, and Liverpool dominated. I'm going to go 2-2 here. You've gone 2-1 Leeds, right? So you've gone Leeds.
I've gone for Leeds, yeah.
Okay, after all that. Wolves versus Brentford. Wolves versus Brentford, you've gone the draw. I'm normally the Brentford sympathist here, but I've gone the 2-1 win for Wolves. I do think Brentford might nick one, but I think that we might see at last something from Trio and Jimenez. I hope we do. I criticised him earlier in the show about what I've seen so far, but I think this could be maybe the game. And then we go to Burnley versus Arsenal. We're both identical. Look.
Just really quickly on Brentford.
Yeah.
Having watched the extended highlights of all the games, the Brentford-Brighton game was one of the best games of the week.
I watched it all, yeah.
Yeah, two really attacking sides, going at it, loads of chances for both clubs. I mean, Brentford are going to be absolutely fine this season. I think they've got so much about them. The defensive numbers are good.
Yeah.
I think Tony's going to eventually start scoring. He looks sharp and is leading the line really well. And yeah, I think the Wolves-Brentford game will be a really, really good game.
So what do you think about
I just couldn't pick a winner.
What do you think about him? Do you think I should keep him? And Bomo, I can't say it. I've got to get rid of him. But as soon as I get rid of him, I'll pronounce it correctly.
The fixtures are awful. That's the thing for Brentford.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got Tony, who I would still argue is a better option than Mbombo anyway. But yeah, I'm looking to get rid of him. I just can't see too many goals being scored. But I don't think Brentford are going to be whipping boys.
He should have scored by now, and Bomo. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Okay, we've both gone 2-1 to Arsenal in this one. Not much to say, really. Burnley are poor, aren't they, at the moment?
They're just kicking the crap out of everyone. That seems to be their strategy. I mean, you see the tackle on Richarlison?
Yeah. Bad, wasn't it? Went right through him.
What is that? How is that not a booking? I don't know.
Yeah, well, Souness wants to see more of that, you see. He loves Burnley.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah, I mean, we were comparing them to Barcelona at the start of the season, pet Barcelona, but yeah, they reverted back to very much Burnley, I think, this season. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal, I think Arsenal, they did enough. Like they had loads of shots against Norwich, but couldn't convert them. Kept with a 1-0 win. Big relief for Arteta. They look better with Gabriel and White back in the team, obviously. They've got too much quality, I would have thought, for Burnley, but I still worry about them long-term, Arsenal. I don't think they're that good.
No, I think they've got a decent run of games. I think they'll come out of it now, and hopefully we see Saka, Smith-Rowe start to pop as options. Man City, Southampton. Liverpool, Palace. We've both gone 3-1. We're agreeing too much here. It's ridiculous. I don't see your scores. This has been weird. I don't see yours. I don't know what you've gone for. So we both think Palace will nick one, but we just think the goal machine's too much, right?
Yeah, I had to give Palace one just because they've been really good so far, and I think it's going to be one of those games where the scoreline doesn't reflect the actual match. I think Palace will give it a real go, but there's too much quality at Liverpool for them to get trouble too much, I would have thought. City
Southampton, you've gone the 3-0, I've gone 2-0. Not too much to say there. I think routine, I would expect. Just don't think Southampton have got enough to hurt City.
Yeah, we've said that for the last 3 weeks, to be fair. I mean, we've underestimated Southampton against United and against West Ham as well, but it's City, isn't it? Like it's no disservice to Southampton to think City is going to trounce most teams they play at home.
Well, it's 3 shots on target. I'll go back to it again. That's ridiculous. I mean, it's crazy. Norwich-Watford, this is a really tough one to predict. I do fancy Watford, actually. I was going to go an away win. In the end, I've settled on a 1-1. You don't see it. I do think Watford have got some, Sarr's pace on the break could hurt Norwich. And Dennis is quick as well. I don't rate either of these teams, and they do look destined for relegation, don't they, to be honest? Yeah. But you've gone the 1-0 and a Pookie party, maybe?
I'm quite confident that this won't be a draw.
Right.
I think one of these teams will go for it and win it and do enough to do it. And I think both teams will get relegated. But I think Norwich have... I just don't like Watford, basically. There you go.
Yeah.
I said it.
And it's the home crowd, home win. We've seen it earlier how it's affecting teams, so it's fair enough to go.
Exactly. I went for the home team. It's going to be what Sarr does in this game. If he's on form, they can get something. If he's not, which he hasn't really been for the last couple of weeks, then they won't.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And Villa versus Everton, you've gone the 2-2, I've gone the 2-1 goals in this game, definitely for Saturday evening. I liked Villa at Chelsea. I mean, I've got to say, I thought that was an outstanding performance, really. They were very unfortunate to lose by the 3-0 scoreline. McGinn was fantastic. Absolutely, his best midfielder on the park. I mean, he didn't have Kante around him, so that helped. Kovacic was great, but McGinn stood out as well for me. And you called it with Watkins. I thought he played, but Cash looks good with the new system. If they're playing wing backs, Cash, like I said at the start of the season, I love Cash.
Somewhat.
Yep. So yeah, I do think Cash is a good player in that.
Like the dramatic pause as well. Really,
I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to cut the video when you eventually do get to it.
I don't even know how to do it, so you won't
I can always rely on Az's ineptness with technology to save me. I'm sure someone out there will.
Oh, don't you start every bloody week.
Okay, we're moving to Sunday and a potential garden centre game. If you're short of barbecue bricks, then maybe get to your local garden centre. But then you got West Ham, Man United at the same time. They're trying to confuse us with 2 games at 2:00 kickoff. And West Ham United is a game I want to watch. But going back to Brighton Leicester, I've gone 1-1. You've gone 2-0. You just think Leicester beat you every time they play you, don't you?
They do. It's fact. Like, if you're ever going to back on a team to lose, it's Brighton v Leicester. They always turn up against us. Vardy always does something. Maddison always plays well against us as well. And we'll lose.
Barnes, maybe? Is he going to break at last? Is he going to do it? No.
He won't play, surely. Surely Inacho's going to come in at some point. I say it every week until he does.
I'm not going to keep saying that. West Ham United, we've both gone 2-1. Yeah, I think West Ham score. I mean, what are West Ham going to do? Bowen up front, I guess, with Vlasic playing one side. And
it weakens them in more ways than just goals, I think, like Antonio, because having that target man to get the ball out of defence and put some pressure on the back lines and force United to drop back, can't be underestimated. They just don't have anyone in the team like him. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to play sort of a Ben Rama or Bowen up front. Probably Bowen, like you say. So I just don't think they're going to have enough to trouble United. But United are still a bit shaky.
Yeah,
surely they win. Surely they win this.
Yeah, I've gone 2-1 as well. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham get a point out of it because they're not an easy team to play against. And I do think Ronaldo he's going to be in that little box with Ogbonna and Dawson, Souček and Rice. It's like Land of the Giants he'll be up against. So that is going to be a very different proposition to playing against Newcastle. I think he's going to find it tough. They've got to get the supply right if he's going to do anything in that game, unless West Ham make errors as well. But we'll see. And Chelsea Spurs, I've gone 2-0. You've gone 3-0. So you think it's all over for Spurs already, do you?
Well, I do in this game. I mean, they don't have Dyer. They don't have Sanchez, who might come back. I think, what is it? And Romero is back like the day before the game.
Tanganga's out, of course.
Tanganga's suspended. They could end up with a centre-back pairing of Rodon and Ben Davies. That could genuinely be their centre-back pairing.
Sanchez will play, won't he? Is he out? He's surely not. I thought he was coming back. So.
Well, he's still flagged on FPL.
So it could be Sanchez and Romero if they're lucky.
Well, Romero with 1 day of being back in
he's only got to play against Lukaku. He's a good centre back, but it's not the first game you want, is it? For your debut?
It's definitely not. And Rodon
Full
as well
debut.
I don't know if they can get like Rodon and Sanchez maybe, or Romero and Sanchez, or something that vaguely resembles a centre back pairing, then I'll drop it down to 2-0.
And you don't see Spurs scoring?
No way.
They've only got world class Kane, 150 million striker up front, but no.
Doesn't matter if you can't get the ball to him.
Right. So,
no chance. Chelsea clean sheet any day.
Well, who am I to doubt you with 9 out of 10 this week? We'll see how you get on. Put your accumulators on now. Let's look at the captains. Captain matrix for the weeks ahead. Salah highlighted for this game week 5 as the preferred captain. There's plenty of options. I mean, what about this? We're going to look at this week's captains in a bit, but what about Jota as a differential captain for this week? If we know he's going to start, and you get him in, if you've got Salah anyway, do you chance him? Is Salah missed a pen tonight? Pens can't be relied upon. Would you go there?
The trouble is with Jota is he's one of those players who just doesn't seem to reliably get points, and he should do because his stats are great, and he should have had 2 assists. But how many times have we said Jota should have scored that game? Jota should have had 2 assists that game. He should have done this. Whereas Salah just gets points, and there's no stat or metric for it. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But there are some players who just have everything going for them. They look perfect, but just aren't in that same bracket as some of these other guys. And for that reason, I think Jota's a great option, but I'd always pick Salah over him.
Okay, here's another one for you. And he's a player I've added to the game week 6. I've added him to game week 8 as well. Not 7, because I think City play Liverpool, don't they, in that game week? But Liverpool play City, rather. Alexander-Arnold now. How long before we go, actually, he's got to be a captain candidate, right?
Yeah, I've done it before. I've done it before with Trent, and it's mostly paid off. I think I've captained him 4 times, and I think 3 of those times he's delivered. He's always a threat. He's always a threat. You can always get an assist or a free kick goal, anything like that. So I am genuinely looking at him differently this season as well. This season he isn't. We've said before, he's not a 7.5 defender really. He's a 7.5 mid with clean sheet points, and it's a very kind of simplistic way of looking at it. But I just don't see it as captaining a defender. He's just not a defender. I think there's a great call to it. But it just comes down to that same thing. Would you captain Trent over Salah?
Well, maybe not, but maybe in a game where a clean sheet is looking more likely. I mean, they've got Brentford away in game week 6 and Watford away in game week 8. If they were home games, you would really consider
but
it. Away
game
games, maybe not. But
yeah, I mean, a game where they're looking more likely of having a clean sheet, that was normally an easier fixture where you'd back Salah to get more goals. That's always the trade-off with it.
So.
You're always worried that you're going to miss out on a big Salah hat trick or something, and Trent just gets 6 or 9 or something like that.
It's going to come down to if he remains as consistent as he is. He's going to be like the consistent captaincy pick where Salah's the more explosive, and you're always going to favour the attacker. But it's just crazy to what he's doing at the moment. Okay, let's look at this week's data for the captain candidates. Minutes per XGI non-penalty. There's only one player got to be top. It's got to be Ronaldo. 15 minutes per shot off his first game, but it's one game week's data. We can't. What can you do with that? Surely we don't. But we're going Salah. Do you see any other options here? We're looking at the data and thinking, okay, the Newcastle defence looks the most obliging, should we say? And obviously Bamford goes to Newcastle, but with the injury concern, or the concern about Bamford, maybe he's not going to be an option unless we know else and Bielsa. But what's interesting here, Spurs' defence is weak, according to this data. Second to Newcastle in the captain candidates' opponents. Minutes per XG conceded, non-penalty, 55 minutes per XG conceded. Lukaku at Spurs isn't a crazy choice after all. If you haven't got the Salah option, Lukaku's not bad, is he? It's quite close, I think, between Lukaku and Ronaldo now for second choice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing the FPL show tomorrow, and Tom, who organised it, he's probably listening. Hi, Tom. Said to me, we're going to have a big discussion tomorrow about captaincy. Can you see anyone other than Ronaldo or Salah? Nah, not really. I mean, Lukaku. Yeah, I mean, Lukaku is an option, I think, but away at Spurs, I just think away at Spurs should be a trickier game, really, than Liverpool.
You just said Palace. It's 3-0 Chelsea.
Yeah, I know.
Well, he's going to score if that's 3-0 Chelsea, isn't he?
Good point. Yeah. I don't know. You've got to think of it in terms of like the predictions are a bit different, because I can kind of say what I think, but you have to think of it maybe like you would do a bet and odds and stuff like that. Like, I'd be less surprised if Spurs drew with Chelsea than I would be if Palace beat Liverpool or drew with Liverpool.
Of course, yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. So, yeah, I mean, Lukaku is going to bully Spurs, no question about it. Also, the question is, how do Chelsea set up against Spurs? It's in theory a bigger side. Do they go a bit more defensive? Do they see out a 1 or 2-0 and kind of go for it? Whereas Liverpool are going to want to get goals against Palace, and they might be a bit more expansive. Also, Palace are a very expansive side anyway, and Spurs have shown under Nuno they're quite a defensive unit, so they could end up frustrating Chelsea. Whereas Palace are probably going to go for it, I would have thought, a bit more.
Well, it seems that's Vieira's approach, right? They got beaten at Stamford Bridge 3-0, didn't they? And yeah, I think you're right. It's very difficult to look beyond Salah. But if I was going to go Ronaldo or Lukaku, I think it's quite close, because I do think that. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I just look at every game and think, well, I guess we're going to look at every game and go, Ronaldo and Lukaku can score in this game, right? Apart from City away and maybe City at home, you'd think that they're going to get a goal, don't you? There's not an opponent that you think would make them struggle for chances. But yeah, I think Lukaku will score again. I really do. I do fancy I'll get something from him, but I'm not going to captain him over Salah.
Yeah.
What about Torres?
I am tempted by Ronaldo, to be fair.
Are you?
As captain. Yeah, but I think, like we've talked about, I think I will end up going for Liverpool just because I think they're the better team at this point.
Oh yeah. Torres.
Torres
played tonight, which is interesting.
Is he playing tonight?
Started in the 9 again tonight. But maybe we're going to be doing this all season, going, he's going to lose his place eventually. Game week 36, Torres has got 24 goals. He's going to lose his place eventually. I mean, sooner or later, we've got to admit that he's got it nailed down. And then I guess the question then, even if he is nailed down number 9, they've had 9 different goal scorers this season. So unlike Lukaku at Chelsea, and we think Ronaldo at United, the goals are going to be shared out wide, aren't they, for City? A lot of players can contribute. and that perhaps isn't going to be the case, well, certainly not the case for Chelsea. So
And
do you think that hurts him?
Yeah, it does. And the fact they've got Foden and De Bruyne back now means more players that can do stuff. De Bruyne can be pushed up, Gundogan could be pushed up. Starting tonight is interesting because he was subbed early in the last game, about 60 minutes, and I think that's a concern with him, is that maybe when things aren't going their way or Pep wants to change things up.
Sterling's on the bench, isn't he?
Yeah, he's always going to be. You're always going to be worried around the 60-70 mark if it's 0-0 or 1-0. You know, so you kind of need him to get his points early. I think again, good 7 million option, but not captaincy material.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I think there'll be a point where we are going to start trusting him. I mean, I've got a potential option for Torres this week. We'll talk about that when we look at my team, but we're going to start at your team first. So this is what you've got at the moment. You haven't made your moves in this team. So it's Sanchez, Trent, Veltman, Soufal, Salah captain, Greenwood, Grealish, Benrahma, Tony. Antonio is flagged and Ronaldo at the moment. Right, so what are you thinking?
So my bench is Tsimikas, Livramento and Gilmour. Obviously, I can't play Tsimikas and I can't play Livramento because he's got City. So Gilmour can come in for Antonio, who I've been talking about this podcast. He didn't play the last game. He's being saved for Watford. They've signed a new DM, which could...
No, Jav. All right.
Yeah, which could push Gilmour potentially more advanced. I mean, let's not go too much hard on Gilmour. I don't think he's ever scored a goal in his...
He could do a Basuma for you, couldn't he? Imagine
he could do.
that.
Well, this is it. I've just got a funny feeling about him. But what I am looking at doing is doing Tsimikas up to Semedo. So that means basically I can bench one of Veltman, Soufal or Gilmour. Soufal's got United at home. I'm really not fancying a clean sheet for West Ham in that game. He has got some assist potential. Veltman, I think Leicester are going to get battered. I think we're going to get battered by Leicester. And I've got the double up as well. Although Veltman, it is nice with Veltman. When a player gets booked and gets bonus, they're doing well on the BPS, because often that kind of completely crucifies them. So at the moment, I'm leaning to doing Tsimikas to Semedo, benching Soufal and playing Gilmour.
Okay. You got the money for that, have you?
Yeah, I've got 1.2 in the bank. Other things I've thought about were maybe doing Veltman up to James, which I could do.
Quite like that.
Which I do quite like. But then it means I'm keeping Tsimikas. But yeah, and then who do I play? So then I'm bringing Gilmour in for Antonio anyway, and I'm losing Veltman, who's actually been quite good for me, and I think he's quite a good option at wing back. That's it. I mean, that's basically it. Or I do Antonio to Jimenez. They're my options, but I'm not going to do... not Antonio to Jimenez, Tony to Jimenez. Because Tony's just kind of
His
there.
fixtures are poor, aren't they, coming up?
Yeah, he's just kind of there. And I kind of feel like I've always got other moves I want to do, but he's just not going anywhere, and he's not scoring any goals, and he's looking all right, but the fixtures are so tough. So yeah, Tony to Jimenez, or Veltman to James, or Tsimikas to Semedo. I think any of those moves gets me points. So
just a reminder, it's a Friday deadline, as you've got to make up your mind soon. So keep an eye on Twitter for that. I'm in a similar situation. I've got 2 free transfers, right? So it's time to move towards the team that I'm looking for by game week 7. This is what I've put together so far. These could be my moves. Jota in for Bruno and Cancelo in for Tsimikas. So that would give me Sanchez, Trent, Ayling, Shaw, Cancelo, Mbomo, Salah, captain, Jota, Sarr, Benrahma, Lukaku up front. Veltman as my only active player on the bench. Antonio on the bench, saved for the Leeds game and beyond. I don't know if it's going to be Cancelo, though. It could be James. Cancelo played tonight, which is frustrating. So I was hoping Zinchenko would come in and he would get the rest. Now, it would just be like Pep to hurt me again. I mean, he has already given me a good idea in this season. Why am I going back there? That he could play Zinchenko left back again and put Walker back in, because Walker got the rest tonight. And it'll be Cancelo's turn to get the rest. Back of my head, though, I'm thinking, he said last season Cancelo can play every game. He talked about his stamina and his energy.
He's been superb as well.
Yeah, and Cancelo can do damage against Southampton, right? He can get me something in that game. He's probably overdue another attacking return. So it is tempting to take the chance. And then I've got Veltman coming on if Cancelo doesn't turn up. But also I'm looking at Reece James, of course, away at Spurs. And do think Chelsea could get the clean sheet there, and James could be, as he was at Arsenal, in the points away from home. The other option is I go Semedo in, Rafinha in for Fernandes, and then I can go and Perica to Bamford and give myself, for a -4. But then I've got the 2 Leeds players Friday night.
Triple, Eiling as well.
Yeah, and I don't have Jota. And I do want Jota. It just feels better for me if I'm getting rid of Bruno to do it for Jota, because Jota, I think, up front for Liverpool against Palace and Brentford, presumably he's going to get the next 2, could be really good. I think I got away with it against Leeds, but I think there's a big score coming for Jota, I think.
I quite liked... who was it in the chat so I can give them credit? I can't remember. I can't see who it is now. Someone said in the chat to me, fix your weakest link first, which I think is just excellent advice.
Of course, that's what we should do, yeah.
Probably the advice that we should be giving on this. I mean, your weak links are...
Well, Tsimikas. Well, yeah, but I've got Tsimikas, right? So he's got
Fernandes, right?
Jota's a weak link.
Sorry, Fernandes. Well, you've confused me because this isn't your team. This is
of course not.
The team you want. But Fernandes and Bomo and Tsimikas, you could lose all 3 of those and really strengthen those with just a -4, right?
Yeah, and Bomo's going to go, but he's got Wolves away, and then he's got another favourable game after that, which isn't too bad. Let me just check what that is.
He's got Liverpool after that.
He has got the next 2 are okay. Oh no, yeah, he's got Wolves.
No, they're not okay.
They're not okay. No, so he's got
Wolves
one
and
more
then Liverpool.
game. Yeah. So I want to move off him, but I guess the idea is that obviously Antonio comes in from Bomo next week. Right? I don't need to play. I'm going to play Antonio, so I don't need to play Bomo because suddenly I've got a bit of depth there, right? So I either sell him next week or I bench him. That's the situation I want to get in. I want to get in the situation where I've got Sarr or Mbomo as my sub, not both of them in the team, because they rotate okay, and Sarr's still got good fixtures. But you're right, Mbomo's got to go soon, but I think I'll hold him for this one. But it's I've got to, if Bruno's going to go, it's really got to be for this game, I think, because I think it is a tough game for them. And I want to capitalise on Jota while he's in the team. But I could go Torres in and then Antonio to Ronaldo if I wanted to. In, free transfers, get Ronaldo in, get Torres in midfield.
If you did that after
would you forgive me? 2
black boxes, yeah, I'd forgive you. I think it'd be hilarious.
I don't want to, because that's all my cash gone, and then I'm stuck with Mbomo and Sarr, and I'm moving. I probably couldn't afford to move to Gallagher because he's gone up, and I'm scratching around for funds. I would have to downgrade Shaw, and I wouldn't be able to get the 2 Chelsea defenders that I want. So it's a lot of compromise.
So funny that you've been slating him again all episodes.
Well, I'm not going to do it, but I could do. Right? I'm probably Magnus is doing just that, I'd imagine.
He's not going to keep Aubameyang, is he?
No, exactly. So I could do it, but I just don't. I don't like not being able to move for the likes of Jota and the Chelsea defence later down the line. So I think this is what I'll go with. It's whether or not it's Reece James or Cancelo. That's a tough call.
I really like them both. I think if you're not planning a wild card in Gameweek 7 though, then probably Reece James is the one I'd favour.
Yeah, I mean that's the position I want to get in. I want to go into Gameweek 7 with the wild card and 3 Chelsea players, and I think that will give me. Then it's down to what I do with the wild card later. Can I make it count? So
I think you go James in.
Yeah, I'm thinking that now. If Cancelo didn't play tonight, I would have done him, but I think it's too risky now. And I do fancy a Chelsea clean sheet in that one. The only trouble is I'm taking 2 Chelsea players into the City game, but that could be 1-0 or 0-0, or I don't know. It's difficult to read that one.
Would you? Yeah. I like it. I think Jota and James will do you proud, to be fair.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the leagues. This guy, Ryan Quinn, who's top of our league, every podcast I've listened to this week, he's had a shout out. He's in all the other leagues, he's in all of them. So basically, this guy is probably the most famed FPL manager this week, all over the place, all over content creators. Well played, Ryan. He's 4th in the world.
Whoa, because I think he was he about 30th or something last week, and he was. Because I think he came on a scout video I was doing and was asking for advice, and I was just
going to check, but I'm pretty
sure.
I'm
not giving you any advice. I'm
pretty sure he's 4th in the world, because that's what people have been saying. But then that would mean that Ahmed Abdu in 2nd on 368 would be high as well. So that would mean our league is doing very well. But Ryan Quinn, let's have a quick look where he is in the world. Maybe this is correct. Yeah, no, he's 21st in the world, so he's dropped down since then, since I heard. I think it was always cheating. At the time, he was 4th in the world, and obviously Monday night has knocked him down again. So he's 21st in the world, still not to be sniffed at. Well played, Ryan. Stay up there. Ahmed Abdu is in second, 368 points, and then Andreas Cavalli, 367, Alistair Houston, 366, and Fortune and Kuna, 366 as well. Yeah, big scores this week. Ahmed Abdu had 92 points. So I'm going to see how he got that while we're in here. Let's have a quick shifty of what he did there.
I'm 70 points off. That's catchable.
Oh, he played his wild card, did Ahmed? He played his wild card, and he came in with he's got the Threemium. He has got it. He hasn't got Alexander-Arnold, but he's got Salah, Ronaldo and Lukaku. And he had Damari Gray as well. What do you make of Damari Gray, by the way? We haven't talked about him. He's another 5-5 option. It's another Lingard all over again, isn't it? It's like, what does the stats say? This is impossible to maintain. And yet he's had 3 shots on target and scored 3 goals.
I know how people felt last year about Lingard now that I've seen Damari Gray. He irritates me every week. I'm like, you shouldn't be scoring. Stop scoring. Yeah, I mean, again, 5.7. What do you really need from him? You need a goal every other game, the goal every 3 games. He's so cheap. I think he's a decent pick. I'd still pick Decore though.
Yeah, it's interesting. He has been a player transformed, Decore. He's getting in the box and he's a quality player, we know, and he's creating stuff as well. In the Apprentice League, I've cut myself off there in the graphic, but I am top by 5 points, I think it is. Let's just bring the league up here. Sorry about me cutting my name off in the league there, but basically, order is restored there. It's me and Az out on top. Natalie in third, 286, some 16 points behind Az. And then we've got Henry bringing up the rear on 279. They both played their wild card.
They did.
And Natalie had a much better impact with 71 points to Henry's 54, which is what we predicted, wasn't it? I just felt that Natalie's advantage with the data, with the ticker, with the wild card was stronger. She had Twitter input as well, whereas Henry hasn't had any of that. And I think that shows, right?
I think Henry would have done even worse if he hadn't made the changes that he made sort of quite late on as well, because the team he showed us last week was quite weak, and it looked like, I still didn't love it, but he did definitely strengthen it. Whereas Natalie's team looked like a good solid wildcard team. So I think with the wildcards now played, it's advantage Natalie.
Yeah, I think as the game weeks go by, and we've said this before, as the data matures and we get more data there, you can get more from it, her advantage should begin to tell. So I would predict that in about a few weeks' time, the gap between them will be 30, 40 points. But we'll see. No pressure on you, Natalie. And then I think we've got to start consider, well, okay, let's see if I can introduce Henry to some of the tools to see if we can start bridging the gap. And we've got to decide how to play it in terms of what we give Henry access to. Will it be Twitter? Will it be the members area? Will it be the ticker? We'll have to see. So we'll see if Natalie extends her lead as expected. Okay, let's talk about the Green Arrow charity, because, of course, I owe some money to this week because I bet. What did I bet?
I'm gonna
more
leave
chance
this
for Az to gloat. Here we go.
I'm gonna leave this to the chat, right? Because we've had a bit of a debate, haven't we, on Twitter. So, firstly, the FPL challenge we mention every week. It's a charity from the United Nations, which is helping to feed starving people across the world. So, sharethemeal.org, and basically every time you have an FPL game week with a green arrow, you donate some money. So Mark and I are donating £5 each every time we get a green arrow. You can donate as little as 65p to help out as well. Just a really nice cause that makes you feel better and doing your part. Last week, Mark and I had a little side bet. So the first bet, 2 bets, yeah, 2 little side bets. The first one was pretty clear, and that was, I bet you that if Ronaldo started, he would score at least 1 goal, which he did. So you'll be donating £10 to this charity. The second bet I made was that Ronaldo would outscore Lukaku.
Is that what you said?
Yeah. So they tied on points.
Then you lost. You said he would outscore Lukaku.
So I just assumed that would be a void bet, but it's been brought to my attention on Twitter that my wording may have implied I lost it. So we'll pass this over to the chat. Do you think that I lost it? Or do you think
technical draw? Az lost the bet. It's all in the wording. I think wasn't it Steve Elbows who was the one who pointed out on Twitter that it was. He came to my
Yeah,
rescue.
Steve Owens doesn't get 2 votes. In fact, he's the one that grasped me up. So
Pot
he
noodles in, lost. Yeah. It's unanimous. Look, it's unanimous. Pay up, tenner each. There we go, tenner each. That's fair.
Well, I mean, it is for charity, so I'm not going to.
Of course, and you like making me the winner, don't you?
No, that's fine. So we will both be donating an extra £10 to this charity this week.
Of course. Do you want to have a bet this week? Do you want to have a bet that Lukaku will score and Ronaldo won't? Do you want to take that one? I'll give you that one. Another tenner to the charity.
What you're going to bet that Lukaku won't score?
Lukaku scores and Ronaldo doesn't. Do you want to take that one? Oh, he's not keen.
So you've got to get both of those right.
No, Lukaku's got to score and Ronaldo has got to blank. Yeah.
So if Ronaldo scores or Lukaku blanks, I win.
Yeah, go on. I'll give you that. I think Ronaldo will blank at West Ham.
Yeah, deal.
All right, another tenner on the line there. We'll have to do this every week. I'm going to be potless. You watch, stuff's going to disappear behind me.
I've got any bloody money.
I've had to sell that monitor behind me because I've been losing all my money to charity for stupid bets with Lukaku. Well, it's Ronaldo, really, isn't it? Okay, so we are going to do a Q&A after bad bets here, people. Yeah, I'm on a roller, winning streak and all that. I'm not, am I? What am I thinking? We are going to do a Q&A after the show.
One technicality.
Yeah, exactly. Very lucky. But no, I'll let Az get his money back. We're doing a Q&A after this show.
We are doing a Q&A. Yeah, we haven't done one in a while. So
No.
if you're interested in firing some questions, then stick around for that. We've also got something really cool, which is this community tournament from Greyhead that we've been talking about for quite a while. And the other day they did the draft. So it's essentially I think it's 24 managers or something pick from an MVP list, which includes greats like Fabio, Slippers, Magnus, all these guys. And it worked as a kind of snake draft. So
well, I can show you. I can show you how it worked. These were the managers that were available to the teams. And if I'm right in saying the teams are basically made up of different FPL managers, and they score points based on how many points those FPL managers get.
Exactly. So you have a squad of managers, and they all accumulate points, and then you go against other teams who have squads of other managers. It's an absolutely excellent tournament. And if you haven't taken part in it before, then get involved in it next time it comes around, and we'll be mentioning it on these streams and stuff. So it's just a fun community engagement thing. So in the Q&A, we're going to be presenting who the draft order was.
Yeah, I mean, look at those names there. You probably think, Tom or Fabio would be first pick out.
You would.
Maybe I would be in the running for the first pick out. That's what a reasonable person would think. Right?
Well, the big battle would be who would people pick first, Mark or myself? And obviously the obvious answer is Mark, but we will see, won't we, Mark?
Let's just say, wait and see. Stick around for the Q&A and afters. We'll be revealing all.
It's an
absolute ridiculous situation. I don't know what's going on here. But we were talking about that in the Q&A. So, yes, stick around. We're going to end this episode. We're going to take a drinks break and come back in 5 minutes' time for a live Q&A. We'll be taking some questions in chat, and then we'll be revealing this ridiculous situation with the draft. I don't know how it happened, to be honest. But it's going to be a great tournament regardless, I'm sure. But for now, it's smash and likes, Az, isn't it? Oh, we're nearly at 20k subscribers. Right? We're nearly there.
We are nearly there.
Getting ironed or whatever it is. You dry clean a suit, don't you? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, don't iron it. I think you put some. I think we're at 19.6 thousand at the time of recording. Obviously, we really want to get to 20k. That'd be amazing. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then please do, and also like this video and drop us a comment. We love reading all your comments as well. And just help support the channel and all of that. So do that.
It will be marvellous. And as soon as we get to 20k, we will be in suits to celebrate that. Then it's onwards. It's onwards from that. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We will join you as always next week. Or is that looking tenuous, Az? It's looking a bit dodgy for you next week.
I think it's more than tenuous. I physically don't think I'll be able to do next week. I'm moving house on Thursday, and it's going to be a pretty stressful week. So
shall I try and get Luke in? What do you think? Get a transfer?
Yeah,
see if it's available.
The trouble is if he's too good, which he probably will be.
Well, that's the fear, isn't it? That's why I don't want to have a week off, because I know that you and Luke would just be brilliant. So yeah.
Nah, I'm only joking. No, if Luke's up for it, get Luke, or fill me in with someone. But I think I'm probably out next week.
Okay, well we'll miss you, Az.
First one I've missed in 40, 45.
Yeah, or we might be able to do it. We'll see how it is. We'll try and hold fire, but it won't be the same without Az. But I'll see if we can get somebody in and run the show anyway. But for now, it's a good night from me.
Good night, everyone.